Mike, can you give me a little example, a musical example of you playing from the 1 chord in a blues setting?
Yeah.
From the 1 chord to the 4 chord, and how your approach and what you're thinking. What do you actually think about when those chords present themselves to you?
Well, when I'm actually improvising, I just think about the actual sound itself. I don't really think about what I'm going to use. I just think it's more of an organic thing.
But, sorry,
let me explain just a little bit further.
Okay.
It's more of an organic thing. However, I do practice things individually and get them absorbed into my playing.
Yeah.
So obviously there's going to be an A sort of minor pentatonic blues sort of thing. Yeah. And then there's the blues scale that will use the flatted fifth. Fifth is A.
Yeah.
Fifth is E. Flat fifth is E flat. Yeah. And there are kind of combinations of those things, so that you can add the third in.
Major third, minor third.
Major third, minor third, which we all do in one way or another. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then, so that's one way, those sort of combinations of that pentatonic scale. And then I would also think about, for practice, the Mixolydian scale. One thing is not to get frightened off by names. You know?
Yeah, well, Mixolydian can sound quite terrifying, but it's only one altered tone from the major scale. Yeah?
Just one altered tone. That's 7th to the flattened 7th.
Flattened 7th. Yeah.
So it's a major scale, flattened 7th. And that really gives us that bluesy tone.
Yeah, you can hear it. Yeah.
So that's a 7th chord, A7. Then we'll go to a D7, and that will use the same. I'll use the same thing for that. So that'll be then, instead of a D major scale, it'll be a D Mixolydian scale. Mixolydian means flat 7th. So that's that scale. And then another approach would be to look at the arpeggios of each of those.
Of each of the 2 chords.
Of each of the 2 chords.
About, yeah.
So A7 would be root, 3rd, 5th, flat 7. Yeah. Root, 3rd, 5th, flat 7th, root, 3rd on top if you want it. Same for D7. So I'd play around with different combinations of those things. Pentatonic scale, blues pentatonic scale, Mixolydian scale, and the arpeggios. So I'd play around with them. You can go a little further on when you start bringing in the altered scale, when you go from one chord to another chord. But I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute.
Okay.
So I'll just sort of give you a few examples of each. pentatonics, then I went through Mixolydian scales, and then I went through the arpeggios.
Yeah.
I normally wouldn't play each of those things as individually as that. I'd combine them in some way,
Yeah.
you know.
This is obviously the way a jazz musician approaches the blues, as opposed to a rock guy who's maybe too locked into that pentatonic thing.
Maybe, yeah.
But also wants to get out of it,
Sure.
but he's not sure how.
Sure. I mean, that's. I mean, one of the other things is that I'm locking into one position. You know, I'm all in this area around the 5th fret.
Yeah, well, it's good to see that, because it really, there's a lot of music. You were creating a lot of sounds, a lot of different phrases and musical expressions.
Sure.
In that very tight area.
Sure, and also the thing for me is that I do that in an improvising.
Yeah.
It's very, very important for me to improvise. So I don't. A lot of the time, I don't have stock kind of licks that I just sort of.
And I can hear a lot of usage of rhythm and dynamic as well. Hard and soft and backing off and yeah.
Totally, yeah.
It feels very nice. It sounds very natural, that. Which is nice.
I'll just play that again.
Yeah.
I'll play more of a combination of it all now.